Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. This is the Deep Dive. My name is Drew Creekmer. I'm the Director of Advisory Services here at Creekmer Wealth. I'm joined, as always, by John Creekmer, our founder and Senior Wealth Advisor. And John, today we're starting to actually, it's crazy how time flies, right? We're starting to actually get to the midpoint of the year already, which is just hard for me to believe that we're here. So far this year, what is your number one favorite thing that you have gotten up to?
I'll tell you, so far, there's a lot of favorite things. I've done a lot of great things so far already this year. I'll tell you, a personal goal was I was working on just continuing my personal health journey and making some adjustments on a number of different things. And it's one of these things where I've seen some great success. I was actually talking to my nutritionist, and a number of things I monitor. Pretty much every single thing I eat and drink gets journaled in, and so I keep track of that. And I see where I'm at. And he noticed a couple of things I needed to adjust. Here we are, close to I don't know, 45% of the way through the year. He says, John, I want you to make a couple of adjustments and have some mid-course corrections. You're also heading out into a summer season coming up here the next couple of months in which you have more activity. You're out on your property, taking down some trees, and you're doing more work, physical labor. And so I want you to make some adjustments as far as what you're eating and also what you're drinking as far as getting more liquids into your body. And so I'm having to go and adjust what I'm doing from my health standpoint here in the midpoint of the year. So I think that's, to me, is a great takeaway. It's always being looking at where you're at, listening to people, and can use some good mid-course corrections.
Yeah, absolutely. And, John, I think that's a great dovetail with what we're going to talk about
Mm.
today. How important it is in your financial life to make sure that you have that midpoint check-in,
Mhm.
making sure that maybe it's checking in to say, hey, I'm about a year from retirement. How am I tracking towards achieving that goal? Or how's my portfolio doing? 2026 has been a volatile year, and our clients have seen great performance in their portfolios, but it's always good to check in and say, hey, do we need to tweak or adjust anything?
Mhm.
And so, John, when you think about it from a financial standpoint, if you were going to say a list of just the top most important things to check in on at the midway point of the year, what would you say that would be?
Yeah, so I think the number one thing, first of all, is probably your personal and financial goals. We like to set those on an annual basis and make sure we understand where they're at in the short term, intermediate term, and long term. But I do think it really is the number one thing you want to start with is where are we at with our goals? Have they modified or changed at all? And there could be many reasons why they may change, but make sure you understand that first of all. Once you have that, the number two thing is your tax plan. Is you want to look to say, hey, we're 45, 50% of the way through the year. Where are we at as far as the income? Where are we at as far as returns? Where are we at as far as projections? Is there anything that needs to change for us to decrease overall taxation in the current year and the future years? So that's number two. Number three, Drew, I think really has to do with what's changed economically. What has changed from a return standpoint in the equity markets? What's changed as far as interest rates? And then from there, look to make some adjustments overall in your portfolio. And keep in mind, folks, that we're not talking just large company, United States based stocks. We're looking at large, medium, small size. You're looking at all different sectors, all different industries. You're looking in the US, outside of the US, and trying to find little small ways to add a little bit of return with a little bit lower level of risk for the return that you're getting. And so I would start with those three primary areas.
Yeah, absolutely. And, folks, we had our True Wealth Live here a couple of weeks ago. We'll include a link to that recording actually in the body of this email. If you didn't get a chance to attend or watch online, we definitely encourage you to check that video out. Some of the things that John just hit on, and that third point there is about markets and economics. We spent a lot of time diving deep on. That's a great resource for y'all to check out. Now, John, once you do that check-in and you start looking at where things are at, how then do you think through how should we make adjustments? If things are working well, right? If the plan's executing, you're staying on track to achieving those goals. Does it make sense to change things, or do you just kind of leave things as they are?
Yeah. And so it's really important that we do not make huge changes at any point in time. And so you want to make sure you're always in communication with your wealth advisor, your Creamer Wealth Advisors, whoever you work with, and make sure you're having continual communication so you can always know where you're at. But really, I'd say at least once, if not twice a year, you want to have some more in-depth conversations of where are you at and is there any small adjustments you need to be making to allow you to have a higher probability of realizing your goals. And so the first thing I'd say, make sure you're on the pacing, to have some level of communication on the telephone, on a video call, as far as a meetup, or even as far as in a face-to-face if you're close geographically, to make sure you have an understanding of where you're at, first of all, and realizing the goals. And then secondarily, is there any small adjustments to make to put you in a better position?
Yeah, absolutely. So, folks, definitely be thinking about, hey, how I've been doing progress wise so far this year. But if you have any questions, or it's just been a minute since you talked to your advisor, definitely reach out to our
Mm.
team. Let's set a time to get together, either for a quick, 15-minute phone conversation, or a deeper dive in person in the office. It makes sense to do that. That's what our team is here to do, is help make sure you stay on track to living that incredible life. So, thanks for the time, y'all. We'll talk to you all soon.